What do you think of the new atheists?
I don't like them. The new atheists, it was like they were dealing with an idiot child, And so that's what was so annoying about them, I thought. And their arguments were pretty bad. The new atheists, they make this mistake we were just talking about.
Bishop Byron slams the New Age thoughts and the problems that come with it, and it's absolutely fascinating. So let's get right into it. Shout out to Tucker Carlson, and I'm gonna be giving my commentary all the way through. Let's get into it.
What do you think of the new atheists?
I don't like them.
Wow.
No, look, my ministry, Word on Fire, emerged around that time. So right around the year 2000. The new atheists emerged after September 11th, which is not surprising because September 11th stirred to life again this old kind of Enlightenment idea. Religion is irrational, therefore it's violent. Because they can't settle things through argument, they have to settle them through bombs and guns and
exactly.
war, right? So that's an old argument, goes back to the 17th century. It was revived massively after September 11th. The new atheists, I think, rode that wave in a big way. Now, they were gifted rhetoricians, especially Hitchens, right? I admired Hitchens. I read Hitchens always with great pleasure. Dawkins less so. Sam Harris, I think, has rhetorical gifts. But their arguments, there's nothing new about them. They were old hat. They're borrowed from Marx and from Freud and from Feuerbach especially. So nothing new at the intellectual level. They were new in their nastiness.
Well, they were definitely new in their nastiness. They're just that's what I definitely hated growing up, realizing that so many people thought if you're a Christian, you're just dumb. You believe in a sky daddy. You believe in a tooth fairy. The tooth fairy is just as real as what you believe in.
Classical atheists, think Feuerbach, Marx, Freud. You got the sense they knew they were dealing with a formidable opponent when they were fighting religion. The new atheists, it was like they were dealing with an idiot child, And so that's what was so annoying about them, I thought. And their arguments were pretty bad. And they were, so aggressive toward religion. They did a great service, though. I'll say this. They awakened the Christian churches in many ways. The apologetic weapons that we threw away 40 years ago, we were compelled to pick up again. So a lot of us got into the game to kind of battle the new atheists and to draw upon the very rich intellectual tradition, especially of Catholicism. So in that way, they did a service to us, And also, I wrote a paper on this one. I called it Thomas Aquinas and Why the New Atheists Are Right.
I thought, in my opinion, that the Catholics for a while didn't have that many apologists. And the evangelical Christians were doing a lot of the work for apologetics in Christianity. But now I would say that they are stepping up the game. Or maybe I just didn't hear of them because I'm not in the Catholic circles. But that's just what I've thought. Seems like now there's a lot more.
The new atheists, they make this mistake we were just talking about. They will construe God as some kind of big being. And, okay, is there this big being or not? Some say there is, some say there isn't. So it's like Bigfoot. Some say there is a Bigfoot. Others say there isn't a Bigfoot. Let's go look around for evidence and find out. Well, you'll never find God that way. God isn't a being. God isn't a thing in the world, right? He's the reason why there's a world at all. Therefore, you're not going to find him in the world. Therefore, you can't say things like, "Oh, there's no evidence for God," as though he's a chemical reaction.
Yeah,
or
the
something.
Yeti. Yeah,
right. He's not like that. You have to ask a whole different set of questions, and that's what the new atheists did. And
like what? What were the questions?
Like, why is there something rather than nothing? Like, why should contingent being exist at all? How do you explain the to be of something whose nature is not to be, namely you and me and everything around us? I am, for sure, but my nature is not to be. I could think myself out of being in a second. There's nothing necessary about me. Well, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? Now you say, oh, it's all matter and energy. It'll never work.
And also the fact their arguments are usually based against more of a Zeus type god, something that was created, something that is like still physical. And the God of the Bible is not like that at all.
Because matter is always matter under these conditions, matter in this size, matter of this energy, matter at this speed, matter of this color. How did it get there? Why is it this rather than that? See, so you can't answer that question, the really cool, interesting question, by appealing to something within the contingent world. You have to go outside the contingent world. And again, don't think of that spatially. So the minute you go, oh yeah, God must be that up out there someplace. No, you have made him a big being. You have to go outside in the metaphysical sense to a reality which indeed contains all of that, but is in no way contained by it. Now we're talking. And that to me is the really interesting question.
Would also suggest that God's like right here, right now, always.
Well, he is. And here's the interesting thing, and all the mystics and theologians around this. So, is God in this room? No, absolutely not, because this room is just full of contingent things, like you and me and the shelves and the books. And no, God's nothing in this. I can't point to, oh, there he is. God's in this room. God's nowhere in this room. Is God in this room? Yes, he's everywhere in this room, because this room wouldn't exist unless God were singing it into being.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like it's just explaining it wrong in a way. Yeah, you're 100% right. I don't think God's in everything in that kind of way, because he's not in what sinful thing that you're doing. No, he's not like there with you as you're doing that in that kind of sense. Does God know you're doing that? 100%. Like, it's so hard to explain or comprehend, but yeah, let's continue.
So God is at the same time as transcendent as you can imagine, not a thing in the world, and as immanent as you can imagine. It was the great Augustine who said, God is at the same time superior sumo meo et interior intimo meo, which means he's higher than anything I could imagine, and he's closer to me than I am to myself. Now, figure that one out. Now you understand the God whose nature is to be. He's transcendent. I can't grasp him. And he's so immanent, I can't hide from him.
That's good.
See? And that's the space opened up by the Bible, I think. So what's the solution, you might ask? The solution is fall in love with God. Falling in love is not grasping. It's not hiding from. And can we read the Bible as God trying to draw his people into that space? I want you to fall in love with me. I don't want you grasping at me. That's idolatry. I don't want you hiding from me. That's secularism. Right? I want you falling in love with me. And that's the right reaction to the God.
You're defining secularism as hiding from God?
Yeah, as an ideology. If you were to say all that there is the secular world, right? As a materialism or immanentism or scientism, in the political sense, secularism, meaning all that there is the world that I can see and measure and so on. That's hiding from God. That's saying, I'm not worried about God. God doesn't impinge upon me. That's the buffered self. Charles Taylor, the philosopher, calls it that. I'm buffered from any contact with the transcendent. That's an attempt to hide from God.
I don't think you're fully on board with Darwinism. I'm getting that sense.
Well, there are a couple ways to look at that. I mean, there's a big debate going on right now.
I think it's interesting how he talks about hiding from God. Yeah, in a sense, I would say you're running away from him. You might not literally think that you're running away from God or mentally thinking about that you're running away from God, but there's something strange going on. It's weird.
In the world of evolutionary biologists about Darwin and neo-Darwinism and questions raised about it, I mean, in a way, I'm happy to leave that debate to them. I mean, because that's talking about how do life forms develop over time and given genetic variation and natural selection. Okay, fine. I'll let the experts debate that.
Yes.
That in itself is not really a theologically relevant concern. I'll leave that to them.
I agree.
But see, here's the thing. Creation in the theological sense has little to do with that. That's all about development of biological forms. Okay. Creation is something much more dramatic. Creation names the relationship that obtains between unconditioned being and conditioned being, or to put that in more regular language, between God and the world. So, I mean, like right now, here you and I are sitting here in this table, in this room, is entirely conditioned form of existence, by which I mean it is, but it doesn't have to be. I could have missed the ride up here today. You could have gotten sick. This thing could have fallen on the table. It could be 1,000 degrees and we'd be incinerated.
Right. I can see that, like, as in free will. Like, God has given us all free will. We don't have to go do a podcast right now. Like, that's not part of God, just pushing you to do something exactly like that. It seems like God is allowing things to happen from free will, in my opinion. So I get what he's saying, but to say like we don't need to talk about evolution or to bring up the topic, especially when they're saying that there is no God because of evolution, because of these mutations or whatever, then Christians should respond. Be like, hey, wait a minute. Actually, I don't think that's exactly what's going on here. God created the universe. And if you're saying that evolution knows the origin of life, that's how the origin of life came about, no, I don't think so.
Could be 1,000 degrees below zero. We'd be frozen. Like there are a million things that make this set of affairs real, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the case. So how do you explain that? Well, you can't appeal endlessly to other contingent things. You have to come, finally, to some reality whose very nature is to be. That's not contingent, not finite, not evanescent, not dependent, but whose very nature is to be.
I am.
Like, right. Then go back to Moses. What's your name? See, Moses was asking a very sensible question for this worldly perspective. So, hey, what kind of glass is that? How tall is that glass? What kind of table is this? That's a nice table. What kind of table is it? So you're a god, obviously. You seem to know a lot about me, and you're. So which one are you? Are you the god of the mountain? Are you the god of the place? Are you god of these people? Who are you? Which one are you? What's your name? And so when God says, I am who I am, he's saying, dumb question. That is not the right question to ask here. Because I'm not a conditioned state of affairs. I'm not a being among many. My name is I am. I am who I am. Right? My nature is to be. Well, now we're talking about the Creator. See, the Creator is the one who is here and now undergirding all the finite reality. Who's right now, this is a great line from Herbert McCabe, the theologian. He's singing the world into being the way an opera singer sustains a song. God, the ground of being, is singing this finite world into being. That's creation. See? So now within creation, I can talk all day about the Darwinists and how the life form developed into that life form, and I'll let them debate that. But
Well, that's good. I love how he talked about I am statement. God is everything you need him to be. He is the great I am. Everything that you can possibly conceive or think about, God is greater than that. So good. So guys, I encourage you all to go to Jesus Today. I would love to also know your comments in the description. You can comment down below. That would be great. I'd love to know, whatever that may be. And if guys, you never decided to follow Jesus, I encourage you to do that. That would be the best thing you could ever do. In the description below, you could click a link to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. I encourage you to do that today.